Supported bridge, for those of you who don't know, will be knees bent, soles of the feet on the earth, and you'll pick up your hips and slide a block or a bolster underneath your sacrum to relax the hip flexors and let the blood flow return to your heart and your head, filling your heart. And allow yourself to settle in here. If you're on a block, I recommend the flattest setting or a bolster. Don't let it be too high. And we'll start here. And for anyone who's new, I am Jessie Mahoney, and I teach mindful yoga and occasionally restorative yoga on Zoom. And restorative yoga, or yin yoga, and I like to say this is inspired by restorative and yin yoga, is yoga for rest and relaxation and resetting. And it is intended to activate or upregulate your parasympathetic nervous system to help you balance out your fight or flight and stress response, which most of us have an exceptionally well-tuned stress response. And so we will begin tonight in supported bridge with your hips lifted above a block or a bolster, and you'll relax your sacrum right over whatever you're resting upon, allowing the hip flexors to release a little bit and allowing that blood flow to head back towards your head and your heart. And as you arrive there, giving yourself a chance to arrive on this Sunday evening. Some of you have arrived home from afar. Some of you are arriving on your mat on Sunday evening. A moment to rest, restore, and refill. And because I like to have a theme, the theme for tonight is actually going to be light. And I love that many of you have tree lights behind you. And as we hit the darkest time of the year, noticing the light, honoring the light, and connecting with that light within. Finding that light within happens when we slow down. It happens when we get quiet so that we can see it. And when we see our own light within, we can also see the light within others. And this idea of light, we actually need light to see. We need light to see with clarity what's going on in our own hearts, what's going on in our own minds, and what's going on around us. And so this idea of light, there's always light in the dark. It's also the celebration of light and the festival of light, as it's Hanukkah in this moment. So connecting with this idea of light. And as you rest here and the blood flow is returning to the heart, the head, coming back to the breath, and allowing things to slow, noticing your heartbeat, and connecting with that heart space and that light within. Light is interesting because we can light candles, we can shed light, uncover things that are hidden. We can see things in a different light, such as a different perspective. This light word has so many different connotations. We can feel light. We can approach things with a lightness, not being too attached. And so considering as you're here, what's the invitation of this word light in your life right now? Just noticing for a bit longer how you feel. And I'm going to bring into this practice Rachel Naomi Remen's book, The Birthday of the World, which I know some of you know well. And it's a story about finding light in everyone and everything. And in that instance, the light is hope. And the light is the good in everyone and everything. It's the sparkle. And so here in supported bridge, noticing how you feel. If your sacrum feels stable enough, you can bring your hands to heart here. And just enjoy that refilling, or a hand to heart, hand to belly. It feels different in this reclined position. Allow yourself to enjoy this. Enjoy the breath. And connect with that light within, whether it's under your hands, in your heart space, in your belly space. Maybe you're noticing that light within in your third eye as you rest. We'll be here for about 5 more breaths. Connecting with the idea of the light within everyone and everything. What might it look like if you chose to see the light within everyone and everything? What if those sparkly tree lights that you're lying beside are like the light in everyone and everything? Sometimes it's lit up like a whole tree, or sometimes it's like a firefly, a light that flickers. But if you chose to see the light, attend to the light, what might that look like? Bring your hands back to the floor, and if you are sturdy enough on your sacrum, you can bring one knee up so your shin is parallel to the floor. Use your belly, and you'll draw the other knee up so your shins are parallel. Draw your knees together, and you'll raise your right foot up to the sky, flex the ankle, and raise the left foot alongside it. Your soles of your feet parallel to the ceiling, and your sacrum firmly planted on the block, the bolster, or the floor. And rest here for a moment. Noticing how your nervous system feels. If you want to invite a little lightness, you can wiggle your fingers and your toes as you're here. And I invite you to close your eyes, shutting out the light. And noticing when you do that, what do you see? What do you see with your heart? What does your body see? What can you see that you can't see when the light is pouring in? You might see the back of your eyelids. Noticing this different perspective. Yoga is about different perspectives. Breathing in and out. 3 more breaths with your feet reaching up towards the ceiling or the sky. Admiring your toes, wiggling them with lightness. You can point your toes and flex them, or point one and the other. Coming to stillness once again. And notice as you're here how your heart and your head feel now. When you feel complete, you'll bend one knee and lower that foot to the floor. You'll bend the other knee and lower that foot to the floor. And if it's okay for your back, you'll know instantly, stretch one leg long in front and then the other leg long in front. And you may have a delicious psoas stretch if your back is okay with it. If your back is not, come back to supported bridge. And allow your belly to stretch, your psoas to release, your hip flexors to soften even more. Some of you might have room to reach your arms above you and enjoy that full body stretch. Bending a knee, one knee coming back, the other knee coming back. And you'll bring your hands down to whatever you are lying on, block or bolster. Lift your hips up gently and slide the block or the bolster out from underneath you. And notice how you feel. Letting your sacrum land on the earth, letting the earth hold your sacrum. Noticing your back soften into the earth. Come back to the breath. We're going to bring the right ankle atop the left knee. Spread your hands behind the left thigh, coming to figure four. Your knees will be both bent. Your ankles are flexed at 90 degrees, and you'll press your right elbow into that right knee and pause here, breathing in and breathing out. Notice if you'd like to bend your left knee and wrap your hands around the front of the left thigh, enjoying that right hip. Sending the breath there, inviting the light into the tightness. Envisioning these sparks of light traveling throughout your body here, like flashlights. What are they seeing? What are they noticing as they head into the hips? What is the light showing there? Anything that would like to be seen, allow it to be seen here as you slow down enough to notice. If it would feel good, bring your hands to the back of the left thigh, straight your left leg towards the sky and point your toes towards your nose and pause here. 5 breaths here in stillness. Notice your chest rise and fall with each breath. Bathing your heart with light, perhaps fairy lights or tree lights, as opposed to the golden light. I have my own fairy lights here in these jars. Can you envision those fairy lights traveling through you, finding little nooks and crannies that need attention? Bend that left knee and lower your foot to the floor. Raise your arms over your head in a cactus shape and allow your knees to fall to the left in the figure 4 twist. The outer edge of the left thigh will touch the earth. The sole of the right foot will touch the earth. And your arms can come back to the cactus shape or a T. Notice what feels good to your shoulders and do that. And we'll be here for 10 breaths. A reminder that in yin and restorative evening gentle yoga classes, we hold poses for a long time. In the stillness is where the calm and the presence come. In the slowness is where the light, shedding light on things can come. Now, as you're here resting, is there anything you'd like to see in your life in a different light? And if the figure four stretches too much, you can just stack your knees on top of each other. And if you want to put a block between your knees or a bolster between your knees, you can also do that. Options, lots of options. Two more breaths on this side. When you feel ready, bring your knees back to center and you'll uncross your knees, reorganize your hips. Sacrum finds itself flat on the earth. And you'll bring your left ankle atop the right knee. Some of you might want to stay here. Others of you, depending on your body, will grab behind the right thigh. Don't do anything that doesn't feel good. This restorative and yin inspired yoga is about feeling good. It's about relaxing. So if something is overstretched, it's not relaxing. Breathing into that left hip here. Long, deep, nourishing inhales. And press your left elbow into your knee or your hand on that left knee if your foot's on the floor. And if you have a wall, you can also press your right foot into the wall and enjoy this as a slightly different stretch. Do what works in your room setup. Notice if you want to bring your hands to the right shin. Straight your right leg, reach your heel towards the sky, flex your toes, and settle in here as well. 5 breaths. Bend your knee, release your hands, lower your right foot to the floor. Bring your arms over your head to a cactus shape or out like a T or down by your hips if that works better for you. Take an inhale, drop your knees to the right, left sole of the foot's gonna land on the earth, outer edge of the right leg. And enjoy this twist. A figure 4 twist. Notice if anything comes to light here, any pockets of tightness that need attention. We'll be here for 7 more breaths. And if you need to stack your knees, put a block or a bolster between your knees, do that. Notice what feels best to you. And you might notice your heart here rolled on an angle, shining its light out. Perhaps a soft light in the darkness. Gently bring your knees back to center. Uncross the left leg, lower it to the floor. Bring your hands down by your side and take a moment here. Just notice your back. Notice how you feel. And you'll bring the soles of your feet together, knees apart, coming into Supta Baddha Konasana. Some of you will want to put blocks or pillows under your knees to help you relax in. And bring a hand to heart and a hand to belly. Allowing yourself here to listen to your heart and listen to your belly. If there's any wisdom there. Anything that you would like to be seen, to come into the light from deep within. Seven more breaths here. Let them be long and nourishing. Let them be lightening, pouring the breath into all the nooks and crannies, and on the exhale, letting go, lightening your load, letting go of burdensome thoughts, letting go of heaviness. That's the invitation of the light. Gently bring your hands to the outer edges of your thighs and you'll draw your knees together. Slowly roll over to one side and pause for a moment on your side. Just notice how you feel in this moment. And when you're ready, flip over to your belly. We're going to come into a Sphinx pose. Your heart will shine forward. Your elbows will be directly under your shoulders, forearms on the floor. Spread your fingers wide, equal pie shapes, and the tops of your feet are going to be on the floor. Sending the breath into the lower back. I invite you to close your eyes here, even as your heart shines forward. And just notice the light that comes in through the back of the eyelids. Letting it circulate around, letting little sparks of light go all the way down into your toes. Envisioning light bathing your heart here. As your heart is seen, you're letting it see and be seen. 3 more breaths here. Long, nourishing breaths. Letting go on the exhale of anything you need, want to let go of to lighten your burden. Breathing in lightness, sending it everywhere to the fingertips. And you'll curl your toes, press back into child's pose. You can do child's pose with nothing, You can grab a bolster and place it under your head if you wish. You can put your forehead on a block. Notice what feels the best to you. Taking a minute to figure out what that is. Everybody is different. You might want to put a blanket between your thighs and your hamstrings and your calves. Stretch your arms, or you can wrap them around a bolster if a hug is what you need. And allow yourself to soften into the darkness here. Child's pose is a dark going inward pose. But notice as you do that there's still light there. Is your inner light, is there a flicker? Is it bright? Five more long, deep breaths here. Embracing the dark and the light all at the same time. If your head is on a bolster, turn your neck to the opposite direction. When you're ready, we're going to slowly transition out of child's pose to hands and knees. And we're going to come into thread the needle. And some of you may want to use a block or a bolster to place under an ear, and some of you won't want to. If you want to use the block, you'll put it between your hands when you come into hands and knees. Lift your left arm up, thread it through between your right hand and your right knee, and you'll lower your shoulder down onto the earth. You may want to lower your ear to a block, or if you don't use the block, you'll just spread your arm out as far as you can to the left arm's going to reach towards the right. Stretch your right arm long in front, sending that stretch and breath and space and light into the armpit and into the tiniest crevices of the shoulder. Your left hand, the palm will face up towards the light. Letting that light pour in the left hand all the way up the left arm into the tightness of the shoulder. Envisioning it like sparks or fireflies, inviting light into that shoulder tightness. Kind light, not harsh light. Five more breaths here. Notice if you need to make any adjustments. Let your last breath here be a very full breath. Pouring the breath in through your nose and mouth, pouring it down into your belly, envisioning the light coming into your shoulder here. And exhale, release things out through your fingertips in either direction, out through your mouth, lightening yourself. Gently bring that right hand back by your face. Untangle that left arm, reach it towards the sky to be kind, and lower it down. Inhale for cow pose and exhale for cat. Undoing any tightness. And you'll reach your right arm up towards the sky, gazing upward. Exhale, thread it between the left hand and the left knee, coming into thread the needle on this side. You'll lengthen your left hand long. Right palm is facing the sky. Let the light pour in through that right palm, all the way up the right arm, into the right shoulder, perhaps into the waist, perhaps into the back area, the scapular area. Wiggle the left palm, fingers forward lightly, and invite the light into your armpit here. Our armpits rarely see the light. And notice as the light pours in that right arm, let it circle the heart. Let it hug the heart. Let it bathe your heart with light, perhaps hope, perhaps the possibility of seeing things in a different light. And what might happen if you saw the light in everyone and everything, including yourself? Three more breaths here. Let the last breath be a delicious, light-filled bathing breath, sending it everywhere in this crisscrossed pretzel position. The light that's pouring in through your hands and the breath can come in all different directions. It's like a light show. Bring your left hand by your face, plant it, press it into the earth, reach up towards the sky, come back to hands and knees. Take a moment here to move your hips around, move your spine around, notice what feels good. And we'll lower down into puppy pose, stretching the shoulders out a bit more. In puppy pose, your elbows will come to the floor, forearms will reach long in front, spread your fingers wide, and you'll lower your forearm to the floor. Your forehead, sorry. You're going to come into darkness once again, a bit like child's pose, but your heart is in a different position. Letting your heart fill spaciously in your chest, hanging with gravity, and noticing those chest muscles stretch a little bit. You can wiggle your elbows a little bit farther forward, spread your fingers wide, equal pie shapes, plant the palms of the palmar surface of the hands on the floor. And in this dark spot here, go inward, looking for the light within you. What if you were to listen to the light, or let the light be seen, that light within you? Big, deep cleansing breaths here. Pouring the breath and the light into all the tight pockets in your chest and shoulders that are being unearthed here, allowed to see the light. Last big, juicy, delicious breath here. Huge breath in and out. Slowly bend your elbows and bring your hands beside your forehead, beside your head. Lift up to tabletop. And we're once again going to slide our legs back. We're going to come into a prone shavasana here. You're going to lie on your belly. Lower your forehead to the earth. And bring your hands by your sides, palms up once again. Tops of the feet on the floor, soles of the feet reaching towards the light. Turn your head to face the left, and your right ear will land on the earth. And allow yourself to soften in here to a prone shavasana, where the front of your body has pressure. It's connected into the earth. And you may notice different parts of it than you're usually aware of. And your backside is seeing the light. A shift in perspective, shift in sensations. Allow yourself to enjoy this. Letting the light peek in through the palms and the soles of the feet. And maybe through your eyelids as you gaze to the left. And letting it circulate around in different spots. Most of us spend very little time on our bellies. Even as babies, kids hate tummy time, many of them. Let yourself enjoy the sensation of the front body. Enjoy the dorsal surface of the hands on the floor and the tops of the feet. Notice what it feels like to have pressure on them. And we'll turn our gaze to the left to be kind to our neck and even it out. Curl your toes under. You'll bring your hands by your shoulders. Bring your forehead back to center. Lifting up, pressing back into child's pose again. This time you can keep your knees together, toes together. And if you want to grab a block or a bolster for your forehead, you can. And you're going to bring your hands alongside your feet, palms up, coming into a big round ball. If your belly is in the way, widen your knees a little bit. And pausing here. Three more breaths here. This pose is one that many of us aren't used to. Lots of things squished up. Perhaps things feel tight and uncomfortable. When you feel complete, bring your hands forward, lift up off the block, and we're going to come into pigeon pose. Not all of you will enjoy pigeon or want to participate in pigeon. And if you don't want to do pigeon, you can stay in child's pose. You can go into shavasana, or you can do the figure four with a foot against the wall. Those of you who want to do pigeon, I invite you to plant your hands onto the mat, curl your toes, lift up into downward dog, stretch your calves for a moment, reach your hips towards the sky. Enjoy the stretch. Big deep breath in. And you'll gently bring that right knee between your hands. You'll bring the right knee to the right outer edge of the mat, right foot to the left outer edge of the mat. And you'll slide that back knee as far back as it wants to go. You will bring your elbows to the earth and come down to the floor. Some of you will want a bolster to rest on, drape over. Some of you will want a block to drape over. Some of you will want 2 blocks under a bolster. And others of you might enjoy a minimalist pigeon, which is my favorite. You can perhaps use your hands to rest your forehead if you're not using a block or a bolster. And breathe into your right hip here. Inviting the light into the tightness of that right hip. Allowing it to soften into the light. And with your head down here in stillness and in a little bit of darkness, attending to this idea that there is light in everyone and everything, including yourself. What might you want to do to see it? Enjoy the breaths. We'll be here for 5 more breaths. And we'll slowly begin to transition out, pressing your palms on the floor. You might want to lift up onto your fists and stretch the front of that left hip. You'll curl the toes, plant your hands, untuck the knee, come back into downward dog in between to even out the hips. Those of you who are doing figure 4 against the wall, you can switch sides. And if you're in Shavasana, just enjoy a chance to be still and quiet and see. We will bring our left knee towards our hands. Left knee is going to come to the outer left edge of the mat. Your left foot is going to come to the right edge of the mat, and you will lower yourself down into pigeon on this side. It may look very different on this side. Once again, you can use a block for your forehead. You can drape yourself elegantly over the bolster. You can use no equipment. Do what feels good. If your knee hurts here, opt out and do the figure 4 on the wall. Or just simply opt out. Or do figure 4 lying down. Wiggle the back knee back a little bit, adjust the knee. You can bring your heel more centrally to the groin or farther out to the right edge of the mat. Notice what your body enjoys. And do no harm. One of the main tenets of yoga is ahimsa, which is do no harm. Realizing that we were taught not to do that to others, but not necessarily to ourselves. Yoga is an invitation to practice being kind to yourself. Inviting little sparks of light into that left hip. Wiggling your toes lightly. Come back to the breath. Huge, nourishing, cleansing, slow breaths. 3 more breaths here. Noticing the light within as you block out the light outside. As your head is down, perhaps envisioning your heart lit up, bathed in light, or maybe it's just a little spark of a candle. Notice what it looks like inside. Notice if there's light all around or it's mostly dark within. And notice where your inner light comes from. Does it come from your heart? Does it come from your belly? Does it come from your head? We will slowly transition out, moving the block or the bolster out of the way. You'll come up onto your fists. Enjoy a little stretch and a little back arch. Plant your palms, curl your toes, and come back up to downward dog. Walk the dog for a moment. Move your hips. And we'll lower our knees back to the floor. Sweep your feet around and extend them long in front. We're going to come into a forward fold, a restorative forward fold. You can use a bolster over your legs with a block on top, or you can just slide forward to release any tension from any of those held poses. So you'll have a bolster on top of your legs, forehead landing on top of a block. Allow yourself 5 breaths here to settle and integrate. Long, deep cleansing breaths. Wiggle your toes and fingers lightly. Don't hold or grip anything. Noticing the impact of that pigeon or hip stretch or figure 4 if you did that. You may notice shaking, releasing. Allowing the shifts, the tingles, the light to circulate. Two more breaths. And you'll slowly round your spine, coming up to a seat. And we're going to come into supported fish, if you wish. I like to do this with 2 blocks alone. You can also do it with 2 blocks and a bolster. So 2 blocks and alone, your front block will be horizontal. The front edge will be the lower edge of your bra strap, and your occiput will land here. And then you can use your bolster under your knees. If this is too pokey for you, so it looks like this, and your arms will come to the sides. If this is too firm, you can take the bolster and place it atop the blocks for a lovely restorative rest. And you can keep your knees bent or straight, depending on what feels good to you. Your heart in either position is going to be open, shining its light out as you relax and rest. Letting go of holding and gripping. Letting go of even stretching. Letting yourself sink in. You want to put a couch cushion under your knees, you can do that. Or a bolster if you're just doing the supported fish with the blocks. Neither is better or worse. And we'll be here for a few minutes. And I'm going to share the author's note of Dr. Remen's book. The birthday of the world is about healing the world one heart at a time. It is about seeing with your heart. If you see with your heart, you can heal the world. How do you see with your heart? Seeing with the heart is not something we are taught. It is a capacity that we are born with. It is something we remember, but sometimes we forget how to see with our hearts as we get older. Like your eyes, your heart is an organ of vision, a way of seeing. When you look at everyone and everything with your heart, you see things that you would not see if you only looked with your eyes. It's the difference between seeing things in black and white and seeing things in color. When you remember and begin to see with your heart again, the world fills with color. You see the light that is hidden in everyone and everything. When you see with your heart, you notice things you have never noticed before. You can see below the surface of things, the appearances of things, and discover extraordinary things in ordinary people. When you see with your heart, you see what is hidden. You see the beginnings of things, the seeds that will one day become a mighty forest. When you see an acorn with your heart, you know that you are holding not a little woody thing, but a great tree in the palm of your hand. To see with the heart is to see the future. I see the light in you. You are enough, just as you are, to heal the world. I invite you to take a deeper breath here. We are going to transition from here into Shavasana. Some of you might like to stay here. If you want to come out, you can just roll to one side, rolling off all of your bolsters and equipment. And you can slide your bolster under your knees, grab a blanket if you wish, move the blocks out of the way, and allow yourself to sink in to Shavasana, or final resting pose. Someone asked me this week what Shavasana was, and it is the pose where you integrate. It's the pose where you relax and surrender fully. So as you settle in, let go of control of the breath. Let the earth and the bolsters and the cushions hold you, cradle you. If you have a blanket over you, let it warm you. If you happen to have an eye bag, you can put that over your eyes. And allow yourself here to settle in, to integrate all of the calm and the relaxation. To let things shift and readjust. And as you rest, I'm going to read you the story of the birthday of the world, which is a story about finding light in everyone and everything. In the beginning, there was only darkness. And then a great ray of light ended the darkness, and the world was born, the world of 1,000,000 things. It was filled with light. Then something unexpected happened, and the light of the world broke into millions and millions of sparks of light. These sparks fell everywhere. They fell into everyone and everything. They fell into all the people, boys, girls, moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas. They fell into all the animals, dogs and cats and guinea pigs and rabbits. They fell into all the fish in the ocean and all the birds in the sky. They fell into all the plants and all the trees and into all families. And they are still there today, hidden in everyone and everything. This is why you were born, and I was born, and everyone was born.
We were all born because we can each find the spark of light that is hidden in everyone and everything. We can become its friend. We can feed it and help it grow bigger and shine more brightly. We can help it grow so bright that it becomes visible once again, one spark at a time. But Grandpa, I asked, if the sparks of light are hidden and we cannot see them, how can we find them? We can't see them with our eyes. We can only see them with our hearts. Only your heart can see the spark of light that is hidden in everyone and everything. When we are kind to people, or listen to them, or believe in them, or love them, or help them realize their deepest dreams, we help their spark grow bigger and brighter until their light shines out and fills up the world again, one spark at a time. And when it does, your own spark grows bigger and shines brighter and brighter. So the world is not broken. The light is still there. The light is hidden, but the light is still there. It will always be there, and that changes everything. This is the story of the birthday of the world as it was given to me, and I now give it to you. It is not just my story. It is your story too. One spark at a time, we can change the world back to the way it was at the beginning, whole and filled with light. Gently begin to deepen your breath. Slowly start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Stretch your arms long above you and your toes long in front, or any way that feels good to stretch. And slowly open your eyes and let the light in as you transition up to a seat. When you arrive, close your eyes and bring a hand to heart. And pause here. Connecting with this idea of seeing the light in everyone and everything. Reminding ourselves that there is light all around us, even in the dark. The light within each person and the light within ourselves. Thank you all so much for practicing with me this evening. The light in me honors and reflects the light in each and every one of you. Have a beautiful week ahead. Namaste.